Once Creo's fired up, the first thing we should always do is select a working directory. I already have a folder in my documents called keypress. So there we go, keypress. That's going to be my working folder, and everything associated with this project will get saved there. I'm going to make a part, and I'm going to make, the first thing I'm going to make is going to be called mirror underscore back. Remember, Creo doesn't like spaces. I can also save this file once I've made the first shape as the mirror as well. So I just want to make a very simple extruded rectangle based on the front plane. So click on that, and it will go to the sketch, center rectangle, click in the middle, drag out about the right proportions, and then select normal. Double click on the top measurement. I'm going to change that to 150 and press the enter key. Double click on this one. I'm going to change that to 210. Press the enter key and OK that. I'm going to set this measurement to 3 millimeters. Just pop it into isometric to have a look. Zoom extents if I like. I'll roll my mouse. That's OK. So once I'm happy with that, I can OK that. And there I have a rectangle, 210 high, 150 wide, and 4 mil thick. Did I make it 4 mil thick? If I'm not sure, I can right click on there, pick this icon, and change it to 4. And OK. Okay, I'm going to save. OK that, and I'm also going to do a file, save as, bog standard mirror. OK that. Notice this hasn't changed here. I've just made a copy of that file called mirror. I can edit that later. Now we'll create the holes so that this can be screwed to the slider part of the frame. We're just going to select a hole from here, or if you're working in the schools menu here, and that needs a placement. It needs to know that it's going on this surface. Notice that's still red. These two green markers here will tell the hole how far in from each edge it's going to be. So if we pick this one up and take it up to that top line there, and double click on that, make that 6, and take this one to that edge there, and double click to make that 24, and go OK. We've now got the hole exactly where we want it. We need to quite severely countersink this to about 3. 3 seems to be a default setting on my computer. You may need to change it in here. Okay. Okay. So now we've got a chamfered hole where we'll put a screw through into the hardwood. 24 is just a rough rule of thumb because it's double the thickness of the wood we're screwing into. As a by the by. I want to copy this now because I need 4 of these, so just going to look at the front view and zoom it to fit. Going to highlight the chamfer by clicking on it in the model tree, and I'm going to go into the model tab now and take the hole and hold down Control and chamfer. Right click, make those a group, which we can right click and give the name of pilot hole 2, because now to take that pilot hole group and mirror it around this plane, click say OK, and then I want to hold down Control again. Select this, hold down Control, select this, mirror, do that again and OK, and there I've got my 4 holes in there. Just take off the plane display. And there we go, so mirror back, save that, and we've created the first 2 parts, so save that again. Now we'll make part 3, which we'll call slider, if you have a look on the list. So file, new part, slider, and OK. If you check on the table, this is made out of a piece of a stock 40 by 12 and it's 150 millimeters long, and it's got a groove cut in it for the little acrylic runner to go in. So I'm going to do an extrude, and I'm just going to place it on the front because that's easier. I'm going to draw a center rectangle, and I'm going to use the normal tool to set some measurements. Set this to 40, set this to 12, and maximize the view. I'm going to change my rectangle tool now by using the more button rectangle. Just hold it over rectangle and then click on corner rectangle. From the middle line to about the middle line, click there. Use the normal tool. That is going to be 4 mil deep, and I think we'll leave it at 6. I'm going to use the delete segment to cut this out. I need to click twice because there's 2 bits to remove, the original rectangle and the second rectangle. Then I'm going to click OK and set a measurement in here of 150. Press enter and then click OK. Pop it into isometric, maximize it, and there is the slider part. Now, I'm just going to spin this round, highlight the sketch. Okay, that. So, I now want to make pilot holes in this face, the face where there's a slightly longer measurement. Okay, so I'm just going to do a simple extrude. I want to do a hole or a sketch. I'm doing an a center point circle. One there, one here, one here. Zoom into that, use the normal tool, make that 3, and then click on that edge, click on the circle, and middle click with the scroll wheel and make that 24. Don't need to set a 6 because it's sitting on the center line. Moves up to the other side, that should have adjusted, and we just need to make that 24. All we need to do, we don't want to set a depth all the way through, so I can say the sketch is alright, it's going the wrong way. I want to flip it that way, and I want to make that only go in, and it needs to go in about 3. Just zoom in to check it's removed material and click OK. So we can save that, and that's our third part created. Let's save that and do file, new part, acrylic slider, call this slider underscore blade. Okay, this is very, very simple. Again, it's a simple extrude. Place it on the front view, center rectangle, get this way up, normal, double click that one, make it 6, double click this one, maybe I can drag it out of the way, double click, make that 4. And from looking at my table, the slider blade is about 102 mil long, so pop this into isometric, say OK, change that to 102 and save. There we go, save. That's our fourth part created. Now we're going to make part 5, which is called case short, the top part, and we do new part case underscore short. Again, let's do an extrude on the front view, center rectangle, normal tool, 40 by 12, maximize. We want at the top this time, not using this but using the corner rectangle. Click now. From there down to here, set the measurement. It's going to be 4. That's for the acrylic slider. And then we want another corner rectangle. It's going to come down 4 and go up 6. Set that to 4. And again, then use the delete segment. Notice I click once, nothing's gone because we're still seeing the rectangle below. So that's the same. You have to click twice to remove these pieces. Okay, and this is 150 long. So click OK. The sketch goes solid to show it's valid, and I need to put in 150 on here. Just maximize that and go OK. Yep. Another part done. Let's save that. Now, essentially, if we remove the notch in the top, we've got the same bit for case long. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and call it case underscore long. Okay. Notice that's still case short. So I'm going to do File, Open, case long. Open that, and it looks exactly the same. I need to edit. I need to get rid of this bit, so I'm going to use the down arrow here, highlight, slide over this, and right click and pick this to edit the definition. I just want to get rid of this bit, so I'm going to snip off that bit, and that bit. While I'm at it, that bit and that bit, and just snap in a new line. Right click to end, OK. It's not liking what's going on, so I'm going to go no. There's a bit I forgot to trim out because of where it crossed the intersecting lines. So let's delete that. OK, that, everybody's happy. However, if I go to the definition of the extrude, notice that's only 150 long, and I do believe we want this to be about 184. Might even need it to be less, thinking about it. See why later when we come to assemble it. Okay, so have a look. So now we've got the long bit with just a rebate cut in the back edge to accept the back. So let's save that. Before we make the back, I'm just going to check that I've got the measurements right, and I'm going to start assembling some of the parts we've made. So this is how to make an assembly file, and we'll start off with the first 4 parts we made. I'm going to make a new file. This time I'm going to use an assembly. I will call this slider. Because it's an assembly, it can have the same name as one of the elements. And I'm now going to assemble parts into this. So I'm going to assemble in the mirror. Open that up. position it roughly in there, and I'm actually going to use default. Notice it's gone gold because all's good. Let's put this in isometric. It looks pretty good to me. I'll zoom out a little. Now I can assemble everything else to this. So the next part to this, of course, is the mirror back. Open that. I want this to go on the back of that point. Make sure that the shampoo is good. Okay, because the way we're putting it together like this, the way we put it together in reality is the last thing that will go on before the bezel is the mirror. I want this face here, which I've just clicked on, to stick to that face there, and I've got coincident there. If we roll this around, we can see that they're lining up. I now want the top edges to line up with a coincident, and if I now pick these edges here, this one, just a click and a click, we've got a distance setting, but I can change that distance setting to coincident here, and everything's good. So look at that in isometric. Right, now I want to assemble the slider part. Open. Okay. Now, just to make things a little easier, pick it up by the ball and slide it over the top. And this, I can wing that round that way. I've got some holes that can line up with the holes in here. So let's slide it over the hole till that's selected, and over this hole, so they're now coincident. And I'm going to do the same with the second hole. I'm pressing down the right wheel, the wheel button, sorry, in the middle to rotate the view, and then just click on that one again, and this one's coincident and that one's oriented. And the final thing we need to do, you can see there's only one movement, freedom now, freedom movement. So select that face and tell it to be coincident, which it's got. You see that's gone gold, so everything's good. And the final step is just to assemble the other. So the same thing, slider. Now, this is going to want to automatically do things for us, but in actual fact we've flipped it. So take off the automatic by putting on the manual selection, because we slip this round, but you see the notches in the bottom, so we're going to have to spin it round this way as well. And now we can select that hole, rolling the wheel to zoom out, rolling wheel to zoom in, and that hole, so that they're coincident, and then selecting this one, zooming into that one so that it's orientated, and then finally selecting that face, and this time to come up with distance, let's put coincident, and that's all there. And we save that as the slider assembly. Now I'm going to assemble the case at the back, so I'm going to do new, assembly, call it case, and I want to assemble this. So I'm going to start off with case short. Open that up. Okay, and I'm just going to use default. Go, okay. That in isometric. Now, we've not specified any jointing details yet, but I'm going to assemble in case long and just spin this round, because roughly what I want to do is I want this surface to line up with that surface, this surface to line up or be coincident with that surface, and this edge and that edge to be coincident. We've constrained it in 3 planes. You can see they're interfering with each other. Ultimately we'll be cutting a joint into that. So I'm going to apply that. Now spin this round, and it's probably easiest to assemble the next long bit. Open that, slide it roughly into place, take off the automatic bit and place it manually, spin it round. This one and this one need to line up, this one and this one need to line up, and this one and this one need to line up, and just OK that. Save it while the going is good. Assembling the final piece, so assemble, case short, open that, set it, do user defined. Now we need to flip it round this way and this way, roughly lined up, so that we can then start saying this face to that face, this face, this face, then zooming in, give the third alignment criteria and click in yes. Quick save, with some metric, check everything's okay. Now that we've got this, we can actually create the back part in place. So to do that, all I need to do is in the model tab, the assemble section, there is this icon here which is create a component in assembly mode. So I'm going to create that, and I'm going to call it case underscore back. Click OK. Okay. Now it needs to know where it's going to go, so I'm just going to click default and put in default and go OK. All we've told it is that we want it in here somewhere, and I've got this file called caseback, which I'm going to right click over and activate. Everything will grey out, and I'm going to do an extrude based on that surface there, and I can see now the step and where the 2 elements interlock. I want something that's going to fit within this, and I'm going to cut it tight and then just sand it down so we get a nice fit. So I'm going to go to more, pick rectangle and click on corner rectangle, zoom in on this bit, hold down the Alt key, click on this line, and then do the same again, Alt key, click on this line, and I'm still in the rectangle drawing mode, so I can click to set one corner and roll my mouse to zoom out over here, then zoom back in, again holding down the Alt key, click on this line, set a guideline, see the blue line just there, and again Alt key, click, and then on that intersection. You'd never actually make anything that tight fitting, especially in natural timber. Now I'm going to go OK, and I'm just going to scroll this around to check I'm going the right way, and I can see here that I'm at the bottom. I might have touched onto it there. I'm going to type in 4 and I'm going to go OK. So I've now got a case in the back. Before we finish with this, we're just going to add 1 or 2 details, the hanging notches, and take off the corners just to make fitting it a little easier. So I'm going to go back to the extrude and edit the definition. If I drop a center line in somewhere near the top, I'm not overly worried exactly where. And then 2 horizontal lines, one about here, one about there. Okay, use the normal tool just to pick up the edge, click on that and type in 20 and do the same here, there, so there and there, middle click, again there, and that line, middle click, 20, and then we want to do this line to this line. I'll make that 30. Alright, I'm going to draw a radius of 4, that here, a radius of 8, and just roll to zoom in. I just happen to have a tangent setting on there, which is great, but if I hadn't, I could set one using this. I'll show you the other one. I'm just going to snap a line now from there, making sure it's vertical, and there, and then use the delete segment tool to cut away that extra bit, that extra bit, that extra bit, that bit, that bit, and that bit. Now, this is so quick to do, it's almost not worth. So I'll see the R coming up, and that snaps to that one. Let's get this. At some point it should go to R2. Okay, it's not going to, so let's use the normal tool, set that to 8. Alright, so that one's set to 4. There we go. Let's delete those bits before we get confused. Right. I want to use the tangent tool to select this and that. And because this is fixed on those cross points, this one moves up. Then pop in these lines, middle click to end drawing process, and again, or just kind of zigzag it out. Okay, that, and those are my, a nicety might be just to chamfer. Then we zoom in on here, you could put a slight chamfer on this face. That'd be interesting, but I don't think I will. Let's save that. Let's activate the case. Okay, an isometric and save.